there. We should have traced off our fronts on the fold, our backs, pivoted out those darts. We should have a side back and a centre back that we've traced off. The little grain line must be the longest it possibly can be. All notches go to the cut line, and we annotate. I think that's us done. Okay, so I'm going to get you all to stop what you're doing and come on over, and we are going to do the back facing. The easy one. Okay, so this is it. I'm all going to get you to stop what you're doing and come on over. So I've got my back on top. The back's easy because it's got no gate darts to pivot out, so it's quite an easy trace. It is the facing line, so that's what we're tracing, is this whole panel of the facing line. We can trace it, instead of tracing it as two pieces, we're going to trace it as one whole piece. Okay, so we'll be able to stick him on top. Ooh, just enough. It is. It's all in one. Make sure when you're tracing him off, we've got a centimetre seam allowance around the whole kit and caboodle on this facing. So make sure you, when you trace him, enough space to be able to do your 1 centimetre seam allowance. Up our centre back. I'm just going to put a CB there to remind myself. That's what it is. Tracing around him. Princesses. Yeah, they're not. Wait, corner there. Shush. Just a little bit easier. Put your hand over there. Absolutely drawing your notches when you get to them. Okay, so I've freehanded in all my grain line. Make sure you do grain line. Now, this is when the trick comes, people. This is the trick. This is page on your learner guide. This is page, whatever page it is, I don't know. But it's this dude here. Okay, so I've highlighted in yellow so it makes it harder for you guys to see. But when you look really super close at it, what we need to do on the shoulder of our facing is to make this shoulder skinnier. Can anyone think why?
It's because like when we fold it, it doesn't come out.
Yeah, that's right. So when we put our facing and we bag out our neckline and our armhole, we want our facing shoulder to be smaller so it pulls that seam on our main to the back. So we don't see any nasty seams that we shouldn't want to see rolling to the right side. To do that, we measure in 3 mils on either side in, so you're getting smaller. So this facing is getting smaller. This is my shoulder, and this is deliberately where, so my shoulder is getting smaller. I'm going to choose a halfway point on that line. So roughly halfway, which is about there. On my neckline, roughly halfway is about there. And that's going to be my 0 point. So I'm going to come in 3 mils and then blend back to 0 at my 0 point. Okay. Now this is not an exact dart. Depends on your fabric. It depends on your cutting technique. If you're a really bad cutter, then you might want to try and do a better idea of cutting. But yeah, so 3 mils out. Okay, well, it's really bad sewing, but anyway, okay, and then, so you see what I've done? I've done in 3 mils to nothing, in 3 mils to nothing. Then I'm going to rub out my old line. Still gonna, it's all kind of hashy there, so if I lift it up, you can see it's still half there. If I wanted to refer to it, I could. Please rub out your outside line, not your inside. So I've only half rubbed it out, so it's still there. And then that's going to be my new line that I'm going to put 1 centimetre seam allowance around the whole thing. Okay. So my back one, I've traced it off to the facing line. I even wrote facing line on my pattern, so I remember. I've come in 3 mils at the shoulder, in 3 mils at the neckline. So this shoulder is getting smaller. I found a halfway point on my armhole and put a mark, a halfway point on my neckline and put a mark. That's my stop sign. Alrighty. So in 3, back to 0, in 3, back to 0. And then you can put seam allowance around it all for me, please. Go for it.
Trace it off again, or you just
No. Put seam allowance on this one. Yep. No, you don't need to trace it off again. Seam allowance on this one. One.